Hello everyone, this week's parashat is parashat Mishpatim. This week's parasha has more mitzvot than any other parsha, and the Torah decides to start out this parsha with the laws that have to do with if you own a slave, how you're supposed to treat that slave. You are not allowed to harm that slave. You need to make sure that his comfort sometimes even exceeds your comfort. If you only have one pillow, then you have to give the slave that pillow. And a whole bunch of other laws that have to do with us. So this in of itself could be interesting, but what makes this so much more interesting is how does someone become a slave? So if you read a few psukim further in the Torah, you get to the psukim that talk about what happens if a person steals. So if a person steals and gets caught, he needs to pay the person double. So you steal, you have to return as a penalty double. But if you don't have double to pay, then you get sold into slavery to the person you stole from. And this is how the Torah talks about how we deal with criminals. Now, to be able to understand the Jewish justice system, let's skip forward to modern day justice system and talk about the jail system. So same crime, a person steals, and he is sentenced to jail, let's say 5 years. When he finishes the sentence, there are two likely scenarios that often happen. Number one is no one wants to hire an ex-con, and therefore they don't get good jobs, they end up falling into bad crowds, and they end up going back to jail. The second option is while in jail they had to toughen up, and because they had to toughen up, they end up going back to jail for sometimes even a worse crime. So the justice system that's supposed to happen is you did something wrong, you go into a timeout, you did your time, and now you go back into society. But the problem is that this doesn't actually rehabilitate you. This just usually makes you from a small criminal into a bigger criminal. And the Torah suggests an alternative way to deal with criminals. And the Torah says if a person steals and he can't repay what he stole, he gets sold into slavery to the person he stole from. So there is a few assumptions over here that the Torah is making about us as people. First thing is, people are good. If someone is stealing, it's because they went off of the right path. Because in our nature, we're good. And we don't want to steal. We don't want to harm people. We don't want to do bad. But a person really needed something and he goes and he steals. So he gets sentenced to go and serve the person he steals from. And why does he go and serve the person he steals from? He goes to serve him so that he can learn what a functioning family looks like, what a family with morals looks like, what a good family, a good structured family looks like. Have a proper job, work with them, and understand it. See how we're supposed to treat people, right? If you only have one pillow, you give it to a person that's beneath you, a person that harmed you. Okay? All of these things, a slave can get. He has a right to get a wife and have a family inside the owner's house. And all of this is to teach him how to live a good and ethical life and sort of coach him into a better place. But now the question is from the other side. If I'm the person that was stolen from, why am I being punished with a criminal that stole from me living in my house now that I need to treat him better than I'm treating myself? And this is where it just gets amazing. Charity is a mitzvah for two people, for the person who gives and the person who receives. Part of understanding our community, our society as Jews, works on the fact that we work together. that someone needs to receive and someone needs to give. But if I'm a wealthy person and I don't care about the poor around me, then I need the same lesson that the person who stole from me needs. I need to see what the other person is missing. I need to live with him and really understand his suffering to be able to make sure that there's no poor people outside of my house that don't have food, that they feel the need to steal. This is what real justice means. Not just punishing, but actually looking out for each other. Shabbat Shalom.